I mean, he had Tom bloodied up, and Tom didn't want to continue in the fight. So.
Just moments ago, the unthinkable happened. Dana White officially stripped Tom Aspinall of his UFC heavyweight championship, not in the octagon, but by a shocking boardroom decision. This controversial move ignites a bitter war between the UFC president and his former champion. Aspinall, who waited longer than anyone for this title, now sees his legacy threatened. The heavyweight throne is empty, leaving fans stunned and questioning loyalty in combat sports. This wasn't just a belt being taken, it was a career fractured, a profound statement on power.
Well, I actually got eye poked twice in the fight. First one wasn't too bad, he got warned for it. The second one, obviously, Cyril Gane tried to make my head a bowling ball with the double eye poke knuckle deep in both.
Weeks before this seismic decision, Dana White uttered words that would haunt him. Speaking of Aspinall, White declared, "Tom didn't want to continue in the fight." These 7 words struck like a thunderbolt, painting a devastating narrative. Aspinall, the heavyweight champion, supposedly chose not to fight through adversity, questioning his heart in a sport valuing toughness. Little did the world know the horrific extent of the injury that forced his stop. This public statement laid the foundation for their relationship's destruction, poisoning public opinion against the champion. It was a calculated narrative, directly damaging.
I mean, he had Tom bloodied up, and Tom didn't want to continue in the fight. So,
to understand the crisis, rewind to October 25th, 2025. Headlining UFC 321, Aspinall defended his undisputed title against Cyril Gane. The atmosphere was electric. Then at 45 in round 1, Gane's jab accidentally poked both of Aspinall's eyes deeply. Aspinall immediately dropped, clutching his face in agony. The referee waved off the fight after doctors confirmed blurred vision and extreme pain. Boos echoed. The fight ruled a no contest. In an instant, Aspinall's coronation evaporated into controversy and confusion, all because of an illegal foul, not a fair defeat.
Well, listen, I didn't continue. I'll tell you why I didn't continue. Because I'm not a dummy. Like, I'm not going to go out there and fight one of the best strikers in the world if I can't see.
With double vision?
With any eye. Look, I know, as an MMA fighter, look, things are going to happen in the fight that compromise you.
This was no minor inconvenience. Aspinall was stretched out and hospitalized, his vision severely compromised. Gane apologized, facing no fines. Yet, the incident ignited urgent debates on UFC glove designs and eye poke prevention. Despite this severity, Dana White's post-fight remarks aggravated the situation. White called the no contest a pain in the ass and asserted no damage to the eye, framing the stoppage as Aspinall's choice. The champion's public image was devastatingly hit, his true condition deliberately downplayed by the organization itself.
How did that sit with you?
I was very disappointed. Yeah, very disappointed.
Do you think the way that was phrased led to some of the criticism afterwards? In other words, if he would have come up and said, poked in the eye, illegal, couldn't see, couldn't continue, serious injury, etc., people would have laid off. They would have taken cues from him.
It definitely didn't help the cause. Definitely didn't.
A month later, on November 30th, 2025, Aspinall finally shared his official medical report. The diagnosis was shocking: bilateral traumatic Brown syndrome. This rare condition, caused by trauma to the eye's superior oblique tendon, is exceptionally uncommon in combat sports. Advanced imaging revealed orbital soft tissue trauma and a minimally displaced fracture. This was not something a fighter could simply power through. It was a career-threatening injury, leaving a dominant heavyweight unable to see clearly, directly contradicting White's public dismissals and shaping a grim truth.
When do you think you can start training again?
Look, it's not up to me. It's up to the doctors. At the minute, I ain't allowed to do nothing, so I'm just following advice at the moment.
What's next?
What's next for me right now is there's talk of surgery on the eyes. We've got to see how it goes over the next few weeks.
Aspinall experienced persistent double vision, severely restricted eye movement, blurred vision with extreme light sensitivity, and substantial visual field loss. He was medically unable to be cleared for combat sports, with potential surgery looming. Despite comprehensive medical evidence, Dana White conspicuously maintained his original position, unwavering. It was at this critical juncture that the relationship between the UFC president and his champion fractured beyond repair. A fighter's health and career were on the line, yet the leader seemed intent on a narrative that undermined Aspinall's legitimacy and suffering.
Well, look, if you were sidelined from doing your job for like 15 months, not allowed to do anything, you train your ass off for 6 months for a fight, then to get double eye poked, to be left with no vision for nearly 6 weeks because of an illegal move, how do you think I feel? I'm not feeling fantastic, am I?
Well, listen, I didn't continue, Aspinall stated, clarifying. I'm not a dummy. I'm not going to fight one of the best strikers in the world if I can't see with double vision. This powerful defense cut to the heart of fighter safety. Why risk permanent damage from an illegal action by an opponent? Why should the victim of a foul be painted as the villain for protecting their health and career? These fundamental ethical questions remain frustratingly unanswered by the organization, exposing a critical flaw in their priorities for fighter welfare and fair play.
Obviously, you've been a massive help to the UFC. You've taken a fight on 2 weeks' notice. You've taken a fight in the middle of the night. Been backup fighter for Jones versus Miocic, and then obviously the whole John Jones saga. How do you sort of see this going forward for yourself with the UFC?
I think right now we just got to focus on the health, innit?
On December 2nd, 2025, on the Ariel Helwani show, Aspinall made a startling revelation. Dana White had not contacted him personally since the fight, 6 weeks earlier. Despite public speculation, he confirmed no relationship with White, dealing only with Hunter Campbell for medical help. Not a single text, not a single message wishing him well in 6 long weeks from the man running the organization. The contrast between Campbell's attentiveness and White's deafening silence spoke volumes about Aspinall's standing in White's priorities, a profound disconnect between president and champion.
I've said hello here and there, but I don't really have a relationship with Dana. I have a relationship with, I speak to Hunter.
You're the heavyweight champion of the world. You're a huge star. You've taken fights on short notice. You've been backup fighter. You stayed on the sidelines for et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Adding to the complexity, Aspinall had already kept the heavyweight division at a standstill between July 2024 and October 2025, holding out for a John Jones fight. Now with an indefinite recovery timeline and potential surgery, the division faced renewed paralysis. Dana White was confronted with a decision many believed he'd never make against a champion. The championship isn't just a belt, it's the marketability of an entire division, driving pay-per-views and sponsorships. An inactive champion, regardless of how they got there, becomes a significant liability to the business of fighting, which waits for no one.
That's fine. If you get punched or kicked in the eye, that's fine. If you get double eye poked in both eyes and you've got no vision because of a foul, why should I carry on so some dummy can look and say, oh yeah, Tom just got knocked out? Because I ain't going to fight if I can't see anything because of a foul. If it's a little illegal move, we have to fight through it. That's what we do as fighters. But when it's a foul, why am I going to put my health at risk when I can't see at all?
The tension between Dana White and Tom Aspinall didn't emerge overnight. It had deteriorated long before the eye poke. Aspinall won an interim title in November 2023, but waited over 18 months for unification with John Jones, who retired abruptly in June 2025. White's perceived reluctance to strip Jones fueled accusations of favoritism, with Aspinall publicly calling out the delay. This wasn't a champion sitting idly. Aspinall made himself available repeatedly, yet unification never materialized, as White seemed to prioritize one fighter's legacy over another's progression. This prior frustration laid groundwork for deeper resentment.
Does that motivate you a bit more than most, like any other champ?
I'm motivated, I'm self-motivated, and I for sure want to crack at that belt. I for sure want to crack at that 70-pound belt to go for the Triple Crown.
You'd either fight Conor in the octagon or his team versus your team in the
team versus team. It's gonna be more interesting because already Khabib beat him in the cage, beat his corner, beat Conor, beat his team, all team again. It's gonna be fine.
On June 17, 2025, White issued Jones a deadline for the heavyweight saga. 4 days later, White announced Jones's retirement, upgrading Aspinall to undisputed champion. Even Jones admitted his wrongdoing, seeking apology from White, but was barred from a UFC event, citing trust issues. White explicitly told Jones the exclusion stemmed from stretching trust during the Aspinall drama. The message was clear: Dana White valued reliability above all else. Fighters causing complications, even legends, faced consequences. What fate awaited a champion whose injury now froze the division without his control? A chilling indicator of White's priorities.
Does Islam motivate you a bit more than most, like any other champ?
I'm motivated, I'm self-motivated, and I for sure want to crack at that belt. I for sure want to crack at that 70-pound belt to go for the Triple Crown.
And what a fight that would be, you and Islam. That'd be crazy, wouldn't it, after all these years?
Good fight. Good scrap. Southpaw. It was a good performance out of him, and fair play to him. He had the courage to do it, to go up. So, yeah, I'm excited for it. Let's see what happens. Let's get back in the mix.
The UFC 31 fallout created an impossible situation. Aspinall's first undisputed defense ended abruptly with orbital trauma. He prioritized his vision, drawing fan backlash and White's pointed remarks. Medical reports later confirmed the severe injury, but White's post-fight comments had already solidified a devastating narrative. The phrase "Tom didn't want to continue" became a potent weapon, wielded by critics, questioning the champion's toughness. Aspinall himself admitted White's phrasing definitely didn't help, amplifying the unwarranted criticism he faced. The public narrative tragically eclipsed the medical reality, driven by the organization's leader.
Do you think he ever fights again?
McGregor? No, I don't think. Too much drunk, too much marijuana.
What if he came to Dagestan and you trained him? Could you get him right?
Who?
McGregor.
That guy's not stepping foot in Dagestan.
Yeah.
He's not going
Not
there.
allowed.
Could you guys fix him?
No.
Too far, too gone?
He's never gonna come to Dagestan, and we're not friends. We don't want he come.
In a November 30th interview, White addressed the backlash, stating nobody faulted Aspinall for not continuing after the eye poke. He pushed for harder penalties for eye pokes, confirming an Aspinall-Gain rematch was prioritized as soon as possible, potentially early 2026 once Aspinall was cleared. This commitment, however, hinged entirely on Aspinall's health. When asked about training, Aspinall responded, "It's not up to me, it's up to the doctors. I'm not allowed to do nothing." He even revealed talk of surgery on the eye. The champion had no timeline, and White's promise looked increasingly hollow.
I will scream and shout and fight anyone in the world. That fight's not happening. Kamaru Usman is irrelevant. He's had one win since 2021. He's the last one down the list who deserves a title shot. The fact that we're even mentioning his name amongst this title contention is bollocks. He's nowhere near the top. He had one win over a guy who's had nearly double digits lost in the UFC and Joaquin Buckley.
This troubling pattern with Aspinall echoed White's contentious history with other top heavyweights. Stipe Miocic often felt undervalued. Francis Ngannou departed entirely after bitter disputes. Now Aspinall found himself at odds with the boss in ways that seemed irreparably fractured. Veteran referee Herb Dean confirmed commission meetings were building momentum for stricter eye poke guidelines. But while these discussions continued, the champion remained sidelined, his career in limbo, adding another chapter to the UFC's turbulent fighter relations narrative. A relentless cycle of conflict and neglect.
I would say right now, for me, I would say Prates. I still think maybe another fight to really kind of, I feel like he's done so much in such a short time. There wasn't enough to let that ripple effect really touch the masses all over the world. But I would say Carlos Prates right now. I like everything I'm seeing from him. His willingness, his excitement to go out there and compete and fight. Even if he loses, it's like, okay, I have to fix that and I'll come back. Like, that's what I love to see. And I think that's what Dana and the company and Hunter and these guys love, is these guys like that. So I love Prates. Morales too is also impressive. You know, no hate on these guys. I love what these guys are doing.
The friction between champion and promoter escalated. On November 23, 2025, White publicly ripped Aspinall's threat to vacate if his friend Anthony Smith got a shot, calling it insane. By November 30th, Aspinall retaliated against critics, emphasizing that fouls don't require fighting blind. He passionately explained, "If you were sidelined for nearly 6 weeks because of an illegal move, how do you think I feel?" The saga highlighted UFC's issues with post-injury support, quick to hype stars but slow to help after a foul. The immediate question lingered: what would happen to the championship when the unwritten rules were tested so publicly?
I don't know. Kamaru won the fight for the belt, you know. Also, Kamaru and Makhachev, they have the same manager. So let's see how it's gonna work. But also, he's number 9 on the rank. But also, he's the GOAT of the welterweight division. So
Nah, come on. Wait, first of all, he ain't no go to the welter. What? Have you heard of a guy named George St. Pierre?
I know that guy, but I prefer Kamaru.
Nah, come on, Carlo. I like you, Carlo. It would be okay if Kamaru gets the title shot against Islam next.
Of course, no. I would be sad because I won the title shot against.
Yeah. Do you think he is deserving, though? As you say, he's the GOAT. In your opinion, do you think he is deserving?
No, I don't think he's deserved. But also, like I said, he's the GOAT. For me, he's the GOAT.
It's crucial to acknowledge the UFC's power. Dana White can strip champions for prolonged inactivity or refusal to fight. This power has been exercised before. Conor McGregor was stripped. Georges St. Pierre was stripped. Tony Ferguson lost his interim belt. The precedent existed and had been applied to some of the biggest names. With the heavyweight division paralyzed, no timeline for Aspinall's return, and the champion publicly criticizing the organization, the stage was set for an explosive decision. The question was no longer if White would act, but when, as business couldn't tolerate an indefinitely frozen division.
This is a great quote. This is a great quote here. What the fuck has Ian Gary done the last couple of years? Kamaru Usman is a legend. He was offered Shavkat last November. Who ended up fighting Shavkat last December?
Ian Gary.
Kamaru accepted the fight. Okay, well, Kamaru Usman is one of the biggest names in the division. When you're Islam Makhachev, you want to have legacy on your name. So he's trying to paint the picture as to why Kamaru deserves this fight. Kamaru Usman, as we said, has one win in the last 4 years, right? He had a 3-fight losing streak, and prior to this fight, he had not won a fight since 2021. Ian Gary, in the last year, has fought 3 times, including against Shavkat, short notice fight, short notice main event against Carlos Praches, beat him, and then beats the former champion Belal Muhammad. He has done more in the past year and has won more in the past year and has helped out the UFC more in the past year than Kamaru Usman has in the last 4 years. So what the F has Ian Gary done is a crazy, crazy comment. Again, I have no problem with him campaigning for his guy, but like, we have to also look at it, honestly and critically as well and say this is nonsense.
As of December 3rd, 2025, UFC CEO Dana White had not publicly responded to Tom Aspinall's recent comments. The silence was deafening, signaling a fundamental breakdown in communication. White's most recent statements focused on broader eye poke issues and a potential rematch, completely sidestepping Aspinall's personal grievances. No new interviews, social media posts, or press conferences from White surfaced in the days following Aspinall's explosive interview. The president appeared to be preparing his response in private. This lack of a direct response amplified fan frustration, labeling White as self-serving.
Whoever it ends up being challenging Islam for this belt first, when ideally do you think Islam fights again?
Well, Islam just fight, honestly. Even the UFC reached out to me. They was asking him to fight a main event June 27. He thought about it, honestly.
Is that the White House card?
No. January 28. He thought about it. He's like, no, and Habib said, hey.
Who was that again?
Like, honestly, Kamaru's name was in the mix. I can tell you that. Kamaru's name was in the mix for January 28th. Honestly, Ian Gary's name is in the mix too. But at the end of the day, man, the UFC is a business. They're going to make the biggest fight they can make.
From Dana White's perspective, the facts were stark. Aspinall held an interim title for over 18 months, causing stagnation. His first undisputed defense ended in a no contest within 5 minutes. Now he faced an indefinite recovery with potential surgery, paralyzing the heavyweight division once more. Aspinall's Brown syndrome might delay his return significantly, with no guarantee of returning to form. The eye injury was career-threatening, and the business demanded an active heavyweight champion. Pay-per-view numbers, fans, and broadcasters demanded action, and White had built his empire by delivering.
But yeah, like, for me, when I look at it, I'm like, there's no way Ian gets it next. I don't think so. Well, first of all, the least deserving of it is Kamaru Usman. Brother, like, I don't know how they're finagling this shit, like, trying to push him into the
cahoots.
Huh?
Between him and Islam?
Yeah,
like
for
mutual
sure.
friendship.
For
like
sure.
let's get
mutual
you paid.
friendship, same manager. Like, I understand what they're trying to do, but that's bullshit.
Yeah.
I personally, obviously, he beat me. I think Morales is the most deserving out of everybody.
He's
like,
undefeated.
Undefeated, 19-0, just beat me. I was the #1 contender. Beats me. Number 2 would be, I think Prates is right there. I think he would deserve it more. Shavkat doesn't deserve a title shot.
He got to get back in the race.
He's got to get back in the
White did commit to the UFC, covering Aspinall's medical care, but this support came through intermediaries like Hunter Campbell, never directly from White himself. White initially promised the rematch would happen as soon as possible, potentially early 2026, once Aspinall was clear. However, early 2026 was fast approaching, and Aspinall showed no signs of being ready to compete. White's earlier words, "Both guys are not injured," aged demonstrably poorly against Aspinall's severe medical documentation. The ongoing...
Bro, something like that. Everyone's got to be in the race. He's just sitting on the sideline.
The speculation ended today. Dana White's decision to strip Tom Aspinall sends a chilling message to every fighter on the roster. The terms of employment are now brutally clear. Injuries sustained from illegal fouls can cost you your title. Publicly criticizing the president carries severe consequences. Indefinite timelines are simply not tolerated, regardless of the circumstances that caused them. The champion who waited, who took short-notice fights, who served loyally, has been dethroned not by a punch, but by a boardroom decision. The unwritten rules of the UFC have now been etched in permanent ink, fundamentally redefining the fighter-promoter relationship.
What do you think about the whole Sarukian situation, with him being on the outside right now? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, sucks to be him, honestly.
Leave it at that?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, no, the kid is a problem. There's no doubt about it. This is a crazy game, and he's going to get his chance, so we'll see what happens.
This decision has profound ramifications for fighter safety. If a champion can be stripped while recovering from an injury caused by an illegal foul, what incentive exists for fighters to protect themselves? The system now essentially punishes the victim, while the perpetrator often faces minimal consequences. Cyril Gane committed the illegal action that caused this situation, yet he faces no punishment while Aspinall loses his championship. This dangerous precedent will reverberate through the sport, forcing future champions to weigh long-term health against losing their titles, potentially compelling fighters to hide injuries to save their careers.
There for the interim belt. Who do you think wins that fight?
Patty. Only because Justin doesn't want another interim belt. That fucker, I mean, like, that's just it. You could tell, like, as soon as, like, when we were fighting, like, I prepared for a different guy. Like, I'd be real. And it was like, I wanted to go in there and, like, just, that's not about me anyways. We'll talk about Gaethje and Patty. Patty's not bad, dude. Patty's not bad. He's very beatable. And Gaethje's very beatable as well. But when it goes into the passion and how upsetting Justin Gaethje has always been about not getting that real title shot, and they just keep dangling it right there again.
Aspinall, feeling betrayed, has hinted at boxing temptations if UFC support faltered. Perhaps that path now becomes more attractive for a fighter who gave so much loyalty. The heavyweight division faces immediate uncertainty about who will compete for the newly vacated championship. Cyril Gane stands as the logical first choice. Other contenders like Alexander Volkov and Jailton Almeida will stake their claims. The division will move on because it must. Business demands it, and Dana White has never let sentiment stand in the way of progress, no matter the human cost. This is the new reality.
Patty's in for a new treat, right? Patty's the one that's never fought for a belt. he's going in there. He's going to be trying to, you know, get that stuff. He's going to feel a little bit more fresher. He's going to have that little bit of excitedness, in my opinion. You know, so if I was going to the book and I was going to try to place the bet, I mean, shit, I would go with the new kid that's going in there and that's going in there for the new opportunity, rather than the old kid that fought for the belt, disrespected it, threw it on the fucking ground, didn't give a shit for it. In my mentality, that's how he's going to be again. It's going to go for Patty, in my opinion. So best of luck for both of them out and knock each other the fuck out.
For Tom Aspinall, the road forward is unclear. His eyes must heal. His relationship with the UFC appears damaged beyond repair. The championship he sacrificed years to achieve has been taken without a punch thrown. Legal implications remain unexplored. Could Aspinall pursue damages for being stripped while recovering from an injury sustained in a UFC cage? Could he argue the organization failed to protect him, then punished him? These questions may well end up being answered in courtroom. This is the cold calculus of professional fighting in 2025. Champions stripped from foul injuries. Public criticism has consequences, and business trumps loyalty every time.